Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating and air, restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. By viewers like you. Thank you.
San Diego's mayor is taking criticism from his predecessor over the homelessness crisis. Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Tomorrow, the San Diego City Council is voting on an ordinance that would ban homeless encampments in public spaces. KPBS reporter Matt Hoffman has a look at the arguments for and against it.
The Unsafe camping ordinance would prohibit encampments anytime near schools, shelters, parks, and open spaces. It would also ban encampments on other public property, but only when shelter space is available. The city of San Diego has roughly 2,400 shelter beds, most of which are in use. But the latest point-in-time count data shows there's 3,200 unsheltered homeless. Former San Diego Mayor Kevin Faulconer says that presents a problem.
And the worst thing that you can do is to say to neighbors across San Diego that they were going to get rid of tent encampments when you cannot actually do that if you do not have the shelter capacity.
The former mayor, who is mulling another run for some type of public office, says the lack of shelter beds would render the ordinance useless. And he says moving homeless away from parks and schools would just move them to other neighborhoods. San Diego Mayor Todd Gloria has been campaigning for the ordinance. He says 2 safe campgrounds near Balboa Park are ready to launch in weeks. While that could add 500 tent spaces, it's not enough to meet the entire need. Gloria says it's a short-term solution while the city invests in more shelter spaces. That comprehensive shelter plan will be presented to the city council this week. The ordinance would ban encampments near sensitive areas like schools and parks, and that would be in effect regardless of shelter capacity.
The taxpayers of this city are anticipated to spend over $200 million in the upcoming fiscal year in responding to our homelessness crisis. For that investment, it is reasonable to expect that you have free access to your parks throughout the city to be used by those very same taxpayers.
The nonprofit Alpha Project operates 4 shelters with city funding in San Diego. CEO Bob McElroy says the unsafe camping ordinance is a step in the right direction. He's pro-enforcement, but
unless you have an alternative, a place for people to go, you can't, then you're criminalizing homelessness.
A spokesperson for Mayor Todd Gloria says he's done far more to address homelessness than anyone in our region's history, including increasing shelter capacity by 70%, expanding the safe parking program, and the creation of 2 safe sleeping sites for hundreds of people to camp legally to go along with a prohibition on tent encampments. Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
And you are invited to weigh in on San Diego County's budget for the next fiscal year. Today, county supervisors held the first public comment hearing on the $8.1 billion budget. The proposal includes investments to address homelessness, mental health, and substance abuse, as well as roads, fire protection, and parks. A second hearing is set for 5:30 Thursday evening. The meeting can be attended in person at the Downtown County Administration Center. Budget deliberations and a final vote are scheduled for June 27th. Educators with the San Diego Unified School District are celebrating their historic new contract tonight. 98% of members with the San Diego Education Association said yes to the deal that includes the largest pay raise ever. In a joint news conference this morning with school board trustees, union leaders confirmed results of the vote. Along with a 15% pay raise over 2 years, the contract doubles maternity leave to 6 weeks and requires 2 teachers in every transitional kindergarten class starting in the fall.
With resources being so scarce, with so many of us working multiple side gigs just to make ends meet, this is not living, this is surviving. And with the wage increases, we can get back to trying to just, to live again.
And there were 5,400 ballots cast last week by classroom teachers, counselors, librarians, therapists, and other educators. The new contract guarantees a first-year teacher will make at least $64,000 a year now, with veteran teacher salaries reaching up to $124,000 annually. The school board will ratify the agreement at its June 20th meeting. There's also news tonight on the progress of high school students hoping to save money and time on their higher education. KPBS education reporter MG Perez tells us about the dramatic increase in dual enrollment for completing college.
What general education class do you have to take to? And
Brianna Hinojosa knows what she's talking about. She just graduated from Miramar Community College, where she is also a mentor to students who need help figuring out how they will make it to graduation here. She's come a long way.
I was on the fence with college just because I wasn't like a straight A student, so I kind of was just that self-doubting myself, saying I don't even know if it's good for me.
In 2020, Brianna graduated from Mira Mesa High School, where she was a member of the Sapphire Sound Marching Band. In her senior year, a counselor suggested she get a head start by taking college credit courses through the Miramar campus. She got high school credit at the same time and discovered a new love for learning.
College classes, you had like only 2 days and also a lot of time to like study and also do your homework. So a lot of times when I wasn't in class, I would just do my homework and have so much time. And really, I like the layout of college classes, knowing what to expect. So you're kind of not like getting things thrown at you.
Taking dual enrollment classes through a community college is free thanks to state funding. And for high school students in San Diego Unified, the district pays for all textbooks. It's a win-win for more than 1,500 juniors and seniors who split their time between their high school classroom and Miramar. Miramar is not the only campus seeing an increase in dual enrollment. Across the San Diego Community College District, there has been a jump of 30% in just the past year in the number of high school students looking to save time and money. It also streamlines the process without additional testing and requirements.
The students were taking AP courses and they would have to take an AP test in order to get college credit if they scored a certain score. By taking dual enrolled courses, in effect, you're getting college credit right off the bat. There is no additional test. As long as you pass the course, you have college credit.
Nationwide, dual enrollment at community colleges has increased by more than 8% every year since the COVID shutdown. College professors also travel to high schools to teach courses, and online classes are an option too.
Hi guys, welcome to the day in the life as a peer mentor.
Meanwhile, Brianna Hinojosa is also spreading the dual enrollment message on social media, along with her success story. She was just accepted for the fall freshman class of UCLA, where she plans to earn a bachelor's degree in psychology and maybe a master's degree after that. MG Perez, KPBS News.
Pride Month celebrations are continuing across the country, including here in San Diego County. KPBS reporter Katie Hyson went to what attendees say was the first community Pride walk in Santee's history.
Participants said they were overwhelmingly excited, though some nerves ran underneath. The city is nicknamed Clan T for its connection to hate groups. A few months ago, protests shut down part of the Santee YMCA after a gym goer told city council members she was afraid when a trans woman, Kristen Wood, used the women's locker room. One walk attendee, a political science teacher, called the YMCA protests astroturfing, mobilizing to create the image of public consensus where there is none. That public display of anti-LGBTQ+ sentiment was part of what propelled the church to host the Pride Walk, says organizer Nanette Burrell.
I think that's a small but vocal segment. I think the community as a whole is caring and are all good people.
Hundreds showed up to walk. Drummers, chants.
Everyone is welcome here, no hate. No fear!
And a near constant stream of passing cars honking in support drowned out the dozen, mostly silent protesters and one woman with a megaphone.
Why are you invading this one?
Santee's mayor even came in support. Kristen Woods stood in the crowd, taking in the solidarity.
But that is the beat of love and joy and inclusion.
After the discrimination she's faced in the last few months, she was moved.
Words kind of fail me, and I got a lot of words. But is this not beautiful?
Katie Hyson, KPBS News.
In less than 24 hours, former President Donald Trump is set to make a historic appearance in a federal courtroom. He faces a total of 37 counts related to his handling of classified documents since leaving office. Chris Wynn has the latest from Miami.
Security preparations increasing in Miami Monday ahead of former President Donald Trump's Tuesday appearance inside this federal courthouse.
We hope that tomorrow will be peaceful. We encourage people to be peaceful in them demonstrating how they feel. And we're going to have the adequate forces necessary to ensure that.
Trump will face a total of 37 criminal charges, the majority for alleged violations of the Espionage Act. He denies any wrongdoing, and in his first public remarks since the indictment was unsealed, railed against the charges brought by the Department of Justice.
It's a horrible thing for this country. I mean, the only good thing about it is it's driven my poll numbers way up. Can you believe that?
The federal indictment details the locations where Trump allegedly stored classified documents at his Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida, including in a ballroom, a bathroom and shower, and a storage room. Trump's own former Attorney General William Barr.
Those documents are among the most sensitive secrets that the country has. He had no right to maintain them and retain them, and he kept them in a way at Mar-a-Lago that anyone who really cares about national security, their stomach would churn at it.
Meanwhile, some of the former president's allies coming to his defense.
Was that a good look for the former president to have boxes in a bathroom?
I don't know. Is it a good picture to have boxes in a garage that opens up all the time? A bathroom door locks.
In Miami, I'm Chris Wynn reporting.
A busy section of a Philadelphia interstate collapsed over the weekend, but it's not just upending travel. It could also cause a ripple effect on the supply chain. Gloria Pazmino takes a closer look.
A dramatic road collapse along one of the busiest corridors in the country. A section of northbound I-95 in Philadelphia wiped out over the weekend when a tanker truck caught fire beneath an overpass. Officials say repairs could take months.
It is our goal to be as quick in our response and our remediation of the challenges as we can.
While a critical artery for local commerce, 95 is also integral to the movement of freight nationally.
This is not just about commutes. This is also about supply chains, about 150,000 vehicles a day. And a good percentage of that is trucking.
The ripple effects could lead to delays and increase the cost of shipping and inventory storage.
This is going to be a major disruption in that region, and it's really going to affect the whole Northeast.
Major road closures are not an isolated phenomenon.
It's a cruel reminder of the importance of our infrastructure, but we have been surrounded by reminders.
Previous bridge failures in cities like Memphis and Minneapolis cost the local economies tens of millions of dollars, while a 2017 closure of Atlanta's I-85 led to customer loss for 75% of area businesses, according to a survey by Invest Atlanta. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg says the federal government is committed to assisting reconstruction.
The entire region affected by this will have the full support of the United States Department of Transportation for as long as it takes.
I'm Gloria Pasmino reporting.
Starting today, Amtrak is offering fewer trips between San Diego and Orange County. Amtrak will reduce Pacific Surfliner train service from 5 daily round trips with bus connections from Oceanside to Irvine to 3 daily trips. And this comes after a landslide in San Clemente forced tracks to close. Amtrak says the move is an attempt to cut costs, citing the recent closure and budget constraints. This year's Warrior Games continued at Naval Air Station North Island today. Hundreds of wounded service members are competing in adaptive sports events, including Travis Wyatt. He says the Games saved his life after suffering a traumatic injury 3 years ago. He was serving as an operations specialist for the Navy when an explosion on a nearby ship knocked him into a bulkhead. He says competing in the Games helped give him hope.
I lost my drive, my purpose. Everything felt hollow. It's really reignited how I can help others, mentor them.
Wyatt is competing in this year's 13th annual competition alongside 200 other service members. The games wrap up today with a medal ceremony and a send-off dinner for participants this evening. And a huge milestone for women who serve our country. Today marks 75 years since women were first integrated into the armed forces. President Harry Truman signed the Women's Armed Service Integration Act in 1948. President Biden paid tribute in a statement where he listed important milestones in the years since, such as the first-class military academy class of women in 1975 and when women were allowed into military combat positions in 2013. Rady Children's Hospital is seeing an increase in kids being referred or diagnosed with ADHD. KPBS health reporter Matt Hoffman says the trend started during the pandemic.
Referrals and diagnoses for attention deficit hyperactivity disorder are up 30% at Rady Children's Hospital during the pandemic.
So this was something that obviously has caught our attention.
Dr. Willow Jenkins is a child psychiatrist at Rady's. She has some ideas for what's behind the increases.
Just spending more time with your children, you're getting more data. So I think more parents were able to recognize, hey, my child seems to be struggling more with their ability to concentrate, their ability to focus.
Jenkins says ADHD is a clinical diagnosis. It requires a pediatrician, psychiatrist, or psychologist to determine.
There are still these myths out there that ADHD is not a real thing. That's absolutely not true. We know for certainty it is a real diagnosis. And so some of these myths do persist, but really the tide is changing.
Jenkins says having ADHD is not a bad thing, and schools play a large role in framing it in a positive way, whether that's giving kids more time on tests or allowing them to take exams in quieter rooms. With many schools closed, summertime can be less structured for kids, which is tough for some.
Keeping up some type of a structure during the summer is recommended. Now, for some children, though, school is really where their ADHD symptoms cause them the most difficulty, because that's when their concentration and their ability to focus on things they don't want to focus on is being stressed. So they might find the summer actually to be a very positive time.
Jenkins says roughly 60 to 80% of kids with ADHD will use medication at some point. She says it can be effective with managing symptoms. During the pandemic, the CDC reported large increases among kids using prescription stimulants. Not everyone needs medication, though. Having a more structured environment or things like physical activity can also help. Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
In an age of polarization and alienation, there remains a space that binds, awes, inspires, and educates. It's public art. KPBS's Amita Sharma looked at a few places where artists have conspired to give beauty and provoke thought.
I think a mural like this absolutely stops people in their tracks.
Jim Dacian is describing a multi-shaded blue painting that pops off the wall at the corner of 20th Street and Imperial Avenue in Barrio Logan. In calligraphy, it spells out America's finest city and depicts quintessential local images.
There's aspects over the Coronado Bridge, the train. You can see our friar from the Padres.
Because Dacian is an art history professor at Point Loma Nazarene University, he sees more. A maze of lines, forms, shapes that unfolds San Diego's story.
You can think of the city of San Diego as the inspiration and the writing on the wall as a poem, a reflection, a creative interpretation of the things that are interpreting and influencing the artist.
I paint a lot of San Diego stuff just so people can enjoy it. It's my city. I love my city.
The artist Dice One co-painted the mural with his friend Hassel in 2017.
I see it as a gift, and from what I've seen in the last 6 years, as long as it's been running, I mean, like I said, people love it.
Dice One's intent is for his work to be an offering, and that forms the soul of the many murals, some graffiti, sculptures, statues, installations, and other pieces that mark indoor and outdoor spaces across San Diego County. Dacian says public art's purpose is layered. It can add beauty.
But it could also challenge us on a number of political, social, or any conceptual issue altogether.
It could encourage people to engage with more depth depth, vibrance. Good public art imparts fresh insights, invites repeated visits, he says.
Almost like a conversation with an old friend that's full of surprises. As you ask new questions, new things are revealed.
Without it, life is drab.
What would the world be without the Statue of Liberty?
Christine Jones is Chief of Civic Arts Strategies at the City of San Diego.
What would San Diego be without Chicano Park murals?
She says the work goes beyond aesthetics.
It has components you can't see, which is really more about its innate ability to really support social cohesion, a sense of belonging, a sense of neighborhood pride.
Jones says there are many forms of public art, some that artists install in public places, and then there's art commissioned by local governments. San Diego's public art budget this year is $5.7 million. Its collection totals nearly 800 artworks. Some of Jones' favorite public art can be seen inside the downtown Central Library, including its elevator.
Somebody going into this elevator and being launched into this discovery of encyclopedic nature of what a library is.
Step outside the library and public art abounds in the region. There's the whimsical. Think Nikki DeSaint Fally's exaggerated sculpture of an alligator outside the Mingay Museum. The participatory, a mosaic of community faces named A Place to Call Home at Southcrest Trails Park. The startling, such as the tiny house titled Fallen Star, perched atop the engineering building at UCSD. The colorful and captivating, like the murals at the California Center for the Arts in Escondido, and the iconic Chicano Park with its murals portraying Chicano history, culture, and key civil rights activists. Jim Dashant calls the area's public art robust. Finding it, he says, is similar to a scavenger hunt.
We often don't see what's in front of us, and we need to get out of our cars and walk.
Back at the America's Finest City mural, street performer James Havoc heeds the credo. He says he passes the mural each day on his way to a nearby Walmart and is affected by what he sees.
It calls to me. Makes me feel part of. And kind of like the homies, you know? It's every day I pass by here to go to the Walmart. And it makes me, it's a good, like I said, it's a good representation of our community.
Amita Sharma, KPBS News.
And we want to know, what pieces of public art would you like to know more about? You can tell us at kpbs.org/publicart.
The June gloom looms, but we do have a pattern change on the way. Let's start you off with your weather headlines. Pattern takes a turn. We're finally going to start on a slight warming trend. Don't get too excited, but temperatures are going to be on the rise into Saturday. And more inland, we're going to be experiencing night and morning low clouds. Not so much as we have along the coast, but still, if you wake up early or if you're going to bed late or if you're out late, definitely take precautions. There may be some lowered visibility. Now tonight, low clouds right around Metro. We're dropping down to a low of 62. And around the region, a similar story. Again, low clouds, especially there along the coast for now. But then as we head into the rest of the week, those low clouds are going to start to shift more inland. And as we wake up tomorrow morning, during the afternoon, highs will rise to the 70s along the coast, upper 60s in San Diego, and then in Ramona at 73. Now as we take our eye towards the high deserts, well, Borrego Springs 94 and Mount Laguna with a high of 59. Now I just want to show you how this is going to play out. Those clouds do start to break again, but then they build again late at night into the early morning, but we'll have more sunshine than what we have been experiencing, especially along the coast, turning sunny this week with highs in the 70s. So we're staying relatively steady along the coast. That's normal. But then as we move more inland, that's where we're going to start to see that warm up. We're in the upper 70s by Thursday, 80s again by Friday and Saturday, and closer towards the mountains, well, we are rising to the 60s again. I know we've been in the 50s. I know it's been a little chilly, but 60s are on the way. It's not going to be necessarily warm, but we'll have some sunshine, cool with sunshine even by Saturday. And if we look at the deserts, well, we're rising through Wednesday. We take a slight dip on Thursday with a high of 93, but we are back at it again on Friday with a high of 97 and triple digits expected by Saturday. For KPBS News, I'm meteorologist Bree Guy.
Pickleball isn't just a game that you play with friends for fun anymore. There's a professional tour, and it recently stopped in San Clemente. KPBS reporter Melissa May shows us how the game is growing as a spectator sport.
4 years ago, this was the typical pickleball scene. Now it's grown to this. The Professional Pickleball Association hosts the PPA Tour, which has grown to 64 full-time touring professional players and a 25-event season. The most recent tournament, the Orange County Cup, just wrapped up in San Clemente.
I view it as Disneyland for adults. People are having a blast, they're having a really good time. The professional sport's really grown. It's become a spectator sport.
Bryce Morgan is the president of the PPA Tour and says hosting a PPA event has changed.
At the beginning, we were looking for any facility that would have us, and now it's becoming a lot bigger of a conversation in terms of, do we have enough logistics of parking? Do we have space? Do we have enough tennis courts that will be converted for pickleball courts? Is there a pickleball facility that already exists that we can utilize?
The PPA Tour has events in Florida, Arizona, and other cities in California, but not San Diego yet. But Morgan says they've been in contact with the owners of a new pickleball facility in Spring Valley about the possibility of bringing the PPA Tour here.
We know of the hub down in San Diego. Pat Rolston built a great facility down there. So we're always just looking for up-and-coming areas where there's a lot of interest in the sport.
Morgan says their tournaments can generate hundreds of thousands of dollars for a city's local economy, from hotel reservations to the nightlife impact. Melissa May, KPBS News.
And you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Good night.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating and air, restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.